Welcome to the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction post-game show where the Sacramento Kings find a new and exciting way to lose. Tonight they drop one to the Washington Wizards by a final of 113-97. They finished their brutal 8-game road trip just 2-6, a well-deserved 2-6. They dropped at least 4 games that they very well could have won. They are now 22-43 on the season, 4-9 in the George Karl era. Again, 2-6 on this road trip. I am James Ham. Joining me as always, Mr. Rui Thomas. Say hello, Rui.
Hello.
There's Rui, a man of so many words. All right, this was a disaster. Sacramento Kings got off to a fast start. They led 64-46 at the half. They were dominating the Washington Wizards. It was a good game. Everything was going right. And then 8 games on the road caught up to them. No Rudy Gay. The wheels fell off the bus. It was absolutely horrendous to watch. Rui, what are your thoughts on this colossal collapse by the Sacramento Kings?
Once again, a tale of two halves. We saw the Kings come out, really energetic surprisingly energetic for their eighth game in 11 nights. We saw them swinging the ball early. They had 8 assists in the first quarter, taking care of the ball, only 2 turnovers. And we saw Cousins going at it down low. When he got in foul trouble, Landry picked up the slack. He had 6 points in the first quarter. And then we saw that, the Kings had another stellar second quarter as many nights, shot 75% from the field, and got to the free throw line often. We saw Cousins add another 13 in the second quarter, and Ray McCallum find a shot from downtown, banged a couple threes, got 8 points. So by halftime, the Kings were rolling. They're up 18. Then we saw the epic or the classic third quarter collapse. The defense, just dissolved, allowed the Wizards to shoot 73.7%, hit 5-7 threes. We saw John Wall score 15 points in that quarter. Paul Pierce had a 12. The perimeter defense, once again, atrocious. A lot of that fell on Caspi. We saw Miller playing really bad defense out there. Kings added another 7 turnovers, typical. And then that fourth quarter, the Kings had a 7-minute drought where they couldn't score a field goal. And the Wizards shot, I guess you could say the Kings held the Wizards to 50% shooting and 4 of 7 from behind the arc. And by that point, they already packed their bags and are ready to go home.
Yeah, it's just absolutely brutal. The Wizards outscored the Kings. I think it's 67 to 33 in the second half, something like that. Absolutely horrendous. I mean, this Kings team, I'll give them a break. This is the one and only time I'm going to give them a break because this is a horrible stretch, and they've had bad luck, and they've lost games that they shouldn't have lost, and sometimes it almost always goes this way. This is the getaway game. This is a game where you're thinking about how much you want to be home. Some of these guys do have children. I mean, Rudy Gay's got a little baby who's not even 1 yet. I mean, a lot of these guys just really, they want to get home after this trip, and it's tough to stay focused. But you are professionals, and you did have the Washington Wizards on the ropes, a very good team. I mean, of course, they're an Eastern Conference team, so I don't know if we can say very good about any team in the Eastern Conference except for 1 or 2, Atlanta Hawks being probably the one. But this team, the Sacramento Kings, just can't figure out a way to play in the second half, especially the third quarter. They go into halftime, and it's like someone turns out the lights and it's nap time, and then they come out groggy. I mean, again, 38-21, they get outscored in the third. And that fourth quarter, the Kings had 3 points with 4 minutes left. I don't even know how they got to 12. They get blown out in that fourth quarter, 29-12, just absolutely embarrassing. All right, so let's get to a couple of the positive things from this game. We'll start out with the positives of DeMarcus Cousins. Goes for 30 points, his second straight game over 30 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 6 fouls, plays 29.41 minutes. He absolutely came unglued at the end of this game. He picked up a tech, should have picked up a second tech. He loves John Wall. They're very, very close friends, and he doesn't like getting embarrassed. Lo and behold, he did foul out trying to go around John Wall and the Wizards for a lay-in down the stretch. And again, he went ballistic. He's just lucky. Ben Salvatore was looking a different way, and so he didn't pick up a second tech. I mean, it didn't matter either way. He'd already been kicked out of the game for fouls. He might as well have got that tech since the game was sliding out of control, anyways. So, what were your thoughts on DeMarcus Cousins' big game?
Well, he had a lot of things going. I mean, his defense was there. He had a nasty block on John Wall in transition that was, played all over the internet. We saw him working his jumper really well. He was getting his typical and ones from outside and inside, plowing through Gortat and Seraphin. Pretty low rebounding numbers tonight, which is kind of strange after seeing him get the career high 24 on Friday. He only finished with 6 rebounds. But, he was moving the ball, too. We saw him feed McCallum and other shooters a few times, and 30 points, hard to complain with that. He didn't have a very good second half, though. I believe he only shot 3 for 9 in the second half, or 1 for 6 in the second half, sorry. So, you got to expect that from you got to expect something better from your best player. And you also, technical at the end when you're down 7, not very responsible when you're trying to climb back after blowing the lead.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Cousins, Cousins really had it going early. He was just so incredibly dominant, and it was like, oh my gosh, what's he going to finish with? That was my thought. But in the first half, it was Cousins and it was Derek Williams hitting a bunch of ridiculous shots. Derek Williams hit fadeaway three-pointers. He was sizzling hot. He just goes absolutely berserk. But he finishes the game with 15 points on 6-11 shooting. There's a couple of things I'm going to point out about Derek Williams. Number one, this is the biggest thing. Second half, Derek Williams goes 1 of 5 from the field and scores 3 points after putting up 12 in the first half. He was good in the first half. He was horrible in the second half. The other thing is, he plays 34 minutes in this game. He has 1 assist and 1 rebound. Am I wrong? Is he 6'9"? Was he like slithering on his belly? What am I missing here, Rui? How do you only get 1 rebound, 1 assist, and do absolutely nothing an entire half of basketball if you're an NBA basketball player? I know a lot of fans were like, oh my gosh, this is a Derek Williams that we dreamed of having. Oh, he looks so good. Some guy even said, oh, he's got a little T-Mac in him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? What happens to Derek Williams in this game? Because for me, completely unsustainable. What he was doing in the first half, I was watching him like, oh boy, that's unsustainable. He can't do that again. He's not going to get lucky that many times in the second half. And sure enough, that's what we saw, right?
Yes, because, Derek Williams nowadays, he just floats around the perimeter. So, that would be a reason why he doesn't collect so many rebounds. We saw him actually try to get guys involved, but, he threw an atrocious interior pass in the fourth quarter. Got picked off. He finished with 2 turnovers. So maybe he shouldn't be trying to get others involved. When you depend on Williams as an outside shooter, I guess your team probably has issues, and the Kings do have issues clearly with their their outside shooting. So yeah, there's 20-something games left or teens games left. If the Kings, you talk about Williams' cap hold, right? It's around like 10 million or so. Is it 10 million?
It's 12.6 cap hold.
Okay, yeah. So he's scoring, but I think the odds of him coming back aren't very good.
Yeah, the odds of him getting anything above like a 2-year, $3 million deal aren't very good. He just hasn't proven that he's an NBA player still. He's very young. That's what's crazy. Derek Williams is still only 23 years old. But there's no way. People who are like, oh, we want him back with the Kings. Look, he has his qualifying offer is $9 million. The Kings will never make a qualifying offer of $9 million to him because Derek Williams will just run to the pen and sign it as quickly as possible. His cap figure of $12 million is cap hold. It's just not going to happen. So here's what's going to happen here. So it's complicated for some people because they don't know the salary cap, but I'll try to explain it in like 30 seconds or less. The only way that the Sacramento Kings retain Derek Williams is if they renounce his rights, making him an unrestricted free agent, and then they re-sign him either using cap space or an exemption of some sort be it like a part of the mid-level exemption or the biannual exception, or they can use a trade exemption. I mean, they have some options here that they could re-sign him at a lower mark. But once they renounce his rights, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. Anyone in the league can sign him, and basically his Larry Bird rights go out the window too. So the chance of Derek Williams re-signing with the Kings, I mean, maybe it's okay. I mean, maybe they'll renounce his rights, use their cap space on someone else, and then bring him back at a low budget deal. But there's not a lot of hope for Derek Williams being back. I mean, he's going to play some minutes here. There's a better chance of Omri Caspi being back than there is of Derek Williams. So I think as for right now, Derek Williams is exciting and fun for some fans to watch. But at the end of the day, he doesn't play any defense. He doesn't get any rebounds. He doesn't get any assists. All he is a human highlight reel. And like tonight when he bricked that huge wide open dunk that would have kept the Kings in the game, that's kind of what you get, because I'm not sure that Derek Williams loves a game of basketball, and we'll have to see where he falls after this. All right, let's get to Ray McCallum. Ray McCallum finishes with 15 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Man, he is solid. I don't think he played great defense. I think John Wall, his big numbers kind of show you that it's Ray McCallum. You've made the point a couple of times, Rui, that since becoming a starter, Ray McCallum has really struggled defensively. What do you think the deal is there?
Perhaps he's just overexerting himself because, I mean, clearly he's had to work on his offensive game so much. Perhaps he just doesn't have the energy or focus to play both ends of the floor, at an elite level. I mean, he's definitely improved as far as his offense goes, his playmaking, involving others. I mean, his shots coming along, obviously still inconsistent, but we saw tonight he went 2 of 2 from downtown, and hit some nice mid-range jumpers. So he can score on some nights. He can get guys involved almost every night, but in the NBA, there's so many elite point guards that he has to face night in and night out. I think it's starting to take its toll, and he's getting worn down.
Yeah, it's very possible he's getting worn down, and I'm going to point this out too. The guy that I could be pretty ruthless here on Andre Miller. Andre Miller played such a horrific second half for the Kings. He starts off the first half, and he's playing really well. I mean, he has 2 points and 7 assists in the first half, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's getting even with his old team." And it's like, "Hey, great, that works." In the second half, Andre Miller was so incredibly bad. He has no assists. There's a point in the third quarter where there's like 13 seconds remaining on the clock. The Kings get the ball. He runs down as a seasoned veteran, knowing that the Kings have a 1-point lead, I think, at this point. I think it was a 1-point lead. And no, actually, I think they had a 3-point lead. They have the final shot. All they got to do is slow it down. And instead, for some reason, he runs at the rim, falls down, turns the ball over, and gives the ball back to Washington with 13 seconds on the clock. There was no reason to even – all he had to do was sit back. You walk in with a 3-point lead, a 5-point lead, or a 6-point lead. Those are your options. Instead, you walk into the fourth quarter with a 1-point lead because you inexplicably go to the rack as like a 38, almost 39-year-old guy. Now, he takes a big spill. He lands hard on his backside. Sure, he's going to be hurting tomorrow. It was violent. He almost did the splits. But, man, the decision-making by Andre Miller here in the last couple of games has not been good. What are your thoughts on what you saw from Andre Miller tonight?
Well, hopefully he's not getting senile, right? When you're 39, that'd be pretty early for those symptoms. But, yeah, I mean, once again, he kind of symbolized the Kings' performance because he had such a great first half with those 7 dimes, and then the second half just complete disappearing act. And becoming a revolving door for John Wall. He could just be exhausted as well, right? At his advanced NBA age.
That's a lot of it. It's exhaustion. I know it is.
So, when you're that tired, clearly you're not, thinking at such a high level. We know Andre Miller, is a student of the game. He understands basketball, so he probably has the highest basketball IQ of anyone on this team. But perhaps he's trying to do too much as well.
All right, so let's get to the one last player that we're going to highlight tonight. Well, I guess we can do two players. Omri Caspi gets a start, and he's absolutely a non-factor. He scores 2 points, turns ball over 3 times. 1 rebound, 1 assist in almost 16 minutes of play. And when you're Omri Caspi and you're getting a start for Rudy Gay, and Derek Williams is coming in and doing all this crazy stuff, you got to bring something. And I like Omri Caspi. I've got a very strong relationship with Caspi, but at the same time, like, come on, man, you get an opportunity and you come out and you score 2 points, and you only, I mean, you're a non-factor. I mean, he had more turnovers than he did points tonight. That's just horrible. And then the other guy, we keep talking about this, and I feel bad because I wrote a piece early, I think it was in January, where I kind of pointed out the fact that where Ben McLemore goes, so goes the Sacramento Kings. And the last 2 games, the Kings were in games. They were right in it. And Ben McLemore, again, just a disappearing act. I mean, 39-year-old Andre Miller, that's one thing. But 22-year-old Ben McLemore, you don't get that excuse, dude. You're young. You've got young legs and energy and all of these things. I mean, to watch Ben McLemore come out and do what he did tonight, again, he scores 7 points. He has 4 rebounds, but he plays 28 minutes. He goes 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 7 from behind the arc. You're the lone 3-point shooter on this team. You got to hit it. When you're getting 3 of 6 from Derek Williams tonight, and your starting guy is going 1 of 7, that's just not going to work out. I mean, he has got to find consistency. He is, I mean, really, I don't want to just point one finger at one guy, but the Kings lose when Ben McLemore is no good. And tonight, he was no good, and they lost. And, I mean, you go back and you trace every game that they've lost, I guarantee you that it has a lot to do with the 2-guard position, that they get 0 production out of that spot. And tonight, that's what you got. So sort of a brutal, like, you got to be honest when it comes to Ben McLemore. Like, you have to find consistency. If you can't be consistent, then, I mean, this offseason, you got to start searching for a veteran to come in and play 25, 30 minutes a night at that position, and then bring Ben McLemore along slowly. I mean, it's an 82-game season. It's a grind, but this guy has been very susceptible to long droughts that have hurt this team. All right, Rui, what are your thoughts on this game as a whole? We'll hit this right now. What are your thoughts? How do the Kings recover from this and bounce back for Monday's game?
I guess, well, I'm thinking of a football moment where I believe it was the Raiders coach, the line, or, wow, I can't remember his name, but when he took over for Dennis Allen, right, they buried the football, and as to symbolize the start of a new season, and perhaps what the Kings should do is just, bury a basketball and start from scratch, because,
Jack Del Rio?
Not Jack Del Rio. No, it was the interim. It was Tony Sperano. Because, I mean, this trip, it was just a disaster, right? You talk about the win over the Knicks, and then they had the win the other night. But it was just, I mean, the Kings regressed over the course of the 8-game road trip, and it was just a disaster.
Zach Lowe pointed out, Zach Lowe of Grantland pointed out today that since George Karl has taken over the Kings, which what is now like 12 games. Anyway, that's like such a small sample size, and it's kind of like, hey, come on, man, don't pile on. I mean, the small sample size of 12 games is ridiculous. But since George Karl has taken over, the Kings have averaged, it's not even close. I mean, it's like not even in the same ballpark as anyone else. They're giving up more points per possession than any other team, and it's just wild. And they're tied for the worst on the season since Michael Malone left. And so this team has struggled defensively mightily since they decided to switch coaches in mid-December. All right, let's get to our 3 keys to the game. The Washington Wizards and Morcin Gortat specifically, who typically doesn't get in foul trouble. The guy is like, he's an aberration. He just doesn't get into foul trouble. They're a team that does not allow teams to score in the paint. They only allow 37.9 points in the paint. The Kings tonight, exactly right on there, 38 points in the paint. What is it that you saw in this game when it came to the paint?
Um, the Kings, they took the Wizards head on as far as scoring down low, as I mentioned, like earlier in the game with Cousins pounding the paint and Carl Andre following his lead. The Kings were up 30 to 20 points in the paint at halftime. Then they got outscored in the second half. The Wizards didn't have Nene tonight, which was a big factor because Nene's so burly, such a wide body. Him and Gortat, together they're like a wall. And they had Drew Gooden starting in his place. He's a little bit softer. But Gooden held his own as time went on, and then Gortat picked up the slack, and we saw Seraphin and Dejoun Blair with some quality minutes down the stretch as well. So two halves, Kings got to play in the second half down low.
Yeah, I was really surprised to watch Seraphin hit those incredible jumpers. I mean, every time he saw Reggie Evans against him, it was like bling, 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 bling. Lights got, eyes got big, like, oh, it's go time. Kind of strange to watch George Karl start Carl Landry and then really just go away from him. Like, Carl Landry, whatever. I mean, he's been going to Jason Thompson off the bench a lot. Again, I think Thompson played like 23 minutes tonight. Didn't really stand out. But the Kings, what I think what's interesting is you talked about they had 30 points in the paint in the first half. They had 8 points in the paint in the second half. What I loved to start this game was this is always a mistake that I think that the Kings have made in the past. Like when you go up against Bogut with Golden State, I want to see DeMarcus Cousins burying 20-foot jumpers. He starts out the first quarter like dropping in 20-foot jumper after 20-foot jumper after 20-foot jumper. And what that does is it draws the defense out. So Marcin Gortat had to come away from the basket and go defend DeMarcus Cousins. And then all of a sudden, boom, the Kings are just running all over these guys. For whatever reason, the Kings just maybe the Wizards adjusted. They made adjustments at half, and they came out and they played well. But again, where is the Kings adjustment? Where do they make a change in the second half? I can write off a lot of this because of exhaustion and because of the long road trip and everything else. But still, I mean, you're looking at a team that came in, had an opportunity to win a game yesterday, fell apart. Had an opportunity to win a game tonight, fell apart. I mean, a 21-point lead. You had a 21-point lead, and then boom, a 17-point deficit. That's a 38-point swing, Rui. How do you have a 38-point swing in a game? I don't know. I don't know. This team is just so erratic at this point. All right, let's get to our second point. The revenge of Ramon. Ramon Sessions, of course, was traded for Andre Miller. I think maybe Andre Miller doing the splits and burning the clock and screwing up at the end of the third quarter was some sort of justice for Ramon. We can print out T-shirts, justice for Ramon. But Ramon Sessions has been horrible with Washington. He was horrible with Sacramento. The Kings are more than happy that they don't have to pay him $2.6 million next year, and that if they re-sign Andre Miller, which they hope to do, it'd be something like a veteran minimum, and plus you get some advantage from the league for signing a guy who's basically collecting Social Security at this point. But Ramon Sessions, while he had a horrible game, again, he goes 1 of 4 from the field. He just so happens to hit the one shot, the 3-pointer from the corner that gives the Wizards a 1-point lead in the fourth quarter. What are your thoughts on Ramon Sessions tonight?
Well, we saw more familiar Ramon. He played 5 minutes in the first half, and we saw him miss the layup in transition, which you kind of had you shaking your head and flashback to some Kings moments from earlier in the season. But yeah, that 3-pointer was big. The only basket he hit tonight, and he didn't show it visibly, but I think in his head he was just a big sigh of relief. And tonight he's kind of probably feels like he redeemed himself for his poor play with the team. He went 1 for 4 for those points. He had 1 turnover, I believe 1 assist, and 1 rebound. Oh, 2 assists, sorry. So, yeah, I mean, Ramon's role in this team with John Wall. John Wall is 11th in the league in minutes played per game. He's not really needed so much as just to give Wall a breather. But we did see some 2-point guard sets from the Wizards tonight, and I mean, Sessions held his own on defense, which we didn't see in Sacramento too often. Good showing in his limited time.
Yeah, in Sacramento, Ramon was a sieve. I mean, the dude didn't stop anyone. I think at one point I saw him, like, you're like, wait, that doesn't match your uniform. Why are you carrying a red cape? And he's just playing Olay defense the whole time. Like, whoa, there goes the point guard to the basket. There's Ramon. Hey, that just happened. So I mean, I think the Kings are more than happy with the swap that they got here. Andre Miller didn't cost them that much money, especially I think there was $850,000 that exchanged hands here to the Sacramento Kings. It made up for a lot of what Andre Miller would be paid over the second half of the season, at least half of the price difference. All right, let's get to our third key, a proper send off. Now, like, look, again, I'm going to give the Kings a break here because this is the way it always goes. In the NBA, you can absolutely crush a team in the final game of an 8-game road trip. And I think the Kings held tough for a lot of this game. Sure, they end up losing by like 16, but they actually had a big lead. They were playing without Rudy Gay, who has a patellar tendon strain, which, if I'm not mistaken, he had earlier in the season. He's a tough guy. We'll see how he travels. We'll see if it swells up and he has issues coming back to Sacramento. But I thought that the effort was there for about, I don't know, like 26, 27 minutes. And then, man, the wheels just fell off the bus. So what is your thoughts on this proper send-off?
I mean, it was appropriate because we just saw more of the same that we've seen over the past 8 games. The Kings clearly exhausted. Need to move beyond this. It's just a shame that after getting up 18 or getting up 21 at one point, they have to let it slip through their fingers again. Just very disappointing. But I'd say it's appropriate.
All right, let's get to our MVPs. Let's do this quickly. I mean, I think we both agree. It's John Wall. I mean, John Wall finishes with 31 points, 12 assists. He dominates. He even had some, you could tell he had a moment after the game with DeMarcus Cousins where he went up, approached DeMarcus, put his arm around him. They had a good, quiet talk. These are two Kentucky guys that know each other very well, who would love to play together sometime in their career. John Wall is an incredible athlete. I don't always love his game. I don't understand the high layups, the reason why he flicks the ball so up high on his layups, or he doesn't just dominate and dunk. But tonight, 31 and 12, but really in the second half he goes for 20 and 10. He had 20 points and 10 assists in the second half, and to me that's really the difference in this game. What do you got for me?
Oh, definitely. I mean, John Wall's a freak of nature, and he's managed to refine his game over the past couple of years to become a good shooter. He was 3 for 3 from downtown at one point. We saw in that, the big third quarter before Stauskas got the block on him on his heat check. But I mean, only 3 turnovers for the second half as well. Despite dominating the ball, on nearly every possession. So very responsible play, clean play, and lifted the Wizards to victory.
All right, Rui, do you have any final thoughts? The Sacramento Kings are heading back to Sacramento tonight, road weary. They haven't seen their family in a while. They're probably out of socks and underwear. It's been a brutal. I mean, it's been a brutal 8-game road trip for us. I mean, we've had 3 sets of back-to-backs. It's been exhausting. There's been so much road reaction post-game show that I don't even know if people still like us. I don't know, Rui. I don't think they like us anymore, but maybe they do. The Kings keep losing, 2-6. But what do you got for me? What are your final thoughts here?
Well, sad to say the Kings can't catch a break because they're going to go home to take on the Atlanta Hawks, who steamrolled them exactly a week ago, or from Monday. So, I mean, they got to come up with some new game plan, to avoid getting blown out again.
That's right. Your boy Elton Brand. Rui has an irrational love of Elton Brand, and Elton Brand is coming to Sacramento. I think Rui has he's got signs made up. He's gonna hide in the bushes when the Atlanta Hawks team bus drives by. No, I'm just kidding. He does love Elton Brand, but it is what it is. All right, let's see. Do we have any final thoughts? I'm gonna throw this one out. Wednesday at Sleep Train Arena. The Sacramento Kings are putting on a St. Baldrick's event. Just going to tell Cowbell Kingdom fans, hey, look, we don't ever pimp donations and charities and stuff like that. That's not something that we typically do. One time a year, I promote the St. Baldrick's idea. St. Baldrick's is an incredible program where anyone can join in. You go, you raise funds for children's cancer research. You go, you sit down in a chair, and you have your head shaved bald. And it's an incredible event, and I will not be shaving my head. That's, maybe if someone out there in Kingsland wants to drop like 5 Gs, I'll shave my head. I'll make like a $5,000. Someone comes up with $5,000 for St. Baldrick. James Ham will shave his head, bald, bald completely. And I just so you know, underneath these earphones, these black earphones, are some big old sticking out ears. So look, there it is, $5,000. Someone wants to Sacramento Kings. You want to drop $5,000 for St. Baldrick's on Wednesday night? James Ham will shave his head. But my son and his soccer team, Toby and his soccer team, have raised over $3,000 for St. Baldrick's for children's cancer research. They will be at the game on Wednesday night shaving their heads for children's cancer research. And again, go out, get some donations, go shave your own head, come to the game, make a big show, support a very worthy cause, and that's my one time, I guess, on the podcast. I promote it as well, but that's my one time on the Road Reaction show. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show. I am James Ham. He is Rui Thomas. Say goodnight, Rui.
Good night.
The Sacramento Kings fall 113-97 to the Atlanta Hawks. They are sinking very quickly, and a lot of fans are happy about that because that means a better draft spot. They are 22-43 on the season. They are 2-6 on this road trip, 4-9 under George Karl. It has not gone as planned, but we still have 17 games left in this 2015 season. And it should be some fun stuff because they have a much easier schedule down the road. The Kings return to action on Monday against the Atlanta Hawks and Elton Brand and 4 other real all-stars at this point in their careers. So it should be a fun road trip, a homestand. And again, no more road reaction postgame shows for a couple of weeks because we've got home games to go visit and talk about. So again, thank you for tuning in to the Cowbell Kingdom podcast, Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show. Good night now. We'll see you soon.